Welcome to vSkills YouTube channel. In this video, you will learn about the top interview questions for API testing. So, let's get started. Question number 1. What do you mean by API? The answer is API expands to Application Programming Interface. It is an interface to connect, access and transfer data among different computing systems. It is needed so that different systems can interact and share data among them. For example, data is being shared amongst social media applications like Google and Facebook. Question number 2. What do you understand by API testing? The answer is API testing refers to the testing of API by conducting test cases. Test cases are developed and executed to test, to validate and verify the developed API against customer requirements in various aspects like functionality testing, UI testing, security testing, performance testing and many more. Unit and integration testing are also performed. Question number 3. Does API testing require coding? The answer is the testing does not constitute the source code. The API testing program helps to thoroughly understand the functionalities, testing methods, input parameters and the performance of test cases. Complete the test cases and compare expected and real results. Question number 4. How many APIs are there? The answer is there are many APIs. Now, due to the spread of smartphones and the internet, web-based services are the de facto requirement of websites. Websites provide data and functionality by API and can connect and share data and functionality among various API providers. Question number 5. How is RESTful API implemented? The answer is the implementation consisted of running the code from the unit tests into the APIs and then refreshing the tests to summon those APIs. The modified certificate method, which gives the implementation for the certificate's resource put method, was the most difficult REST API to implement. Question number 6. What are some common API methods? The answer is the first or most commonly used HTTP methods are GET, POST, PUT, PATCH, and DELETE. There are some other verbs, too, but are utilized less frequently. Question number 7. What is the API framework? The answer is API frameworks are code institutions that contribute commonly used functionality when establishing our web APIs, application programming interfaces. Question number 8. Is API an IoT? The answer is the Application Program Interface, or API, is arguably what ties collectively the associated things of the Internet of Things. IoT APIs are the forces of communication between an IoT device and the Internet or other elements within the network. Question number 9. What are the standard tests performed on APIs? The answer is some of the standard tests that are performed on APIs are affirmation of the API whether it is renewing any data structure. Check if the API does not deliver anything. Based on input circumstances, stated values from the APIs are marked. Verification of the API whether it triggers some other event or calls another API. Question number 10. What do you mean by SOAP and why SOAP is more reliable than REST? The answer is SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Control, and it is an XML-based protocol for exchanging information between computers. SOAP is more reliable than REST as it practices WS security for transmission with a secure socket layer. Also, SOAP is stateful as it takes the whole request as a whole, unlike REST which gives independent processing of various methods. No independent processing is there in SOAP. Question number 11. How API testing is performed? The answer is API testing is performed by using various API testing tools during the development and execution of API test cases. API testing requires the configuration of test cases on API testing tools. Question number 12. What is API testing and manual testing? The answer is API testing and manual testing refers to the testing of API manually instead of automation testing of API. Test cases are executed manually, results are stored and analysis is done manually. Question number 13. What is API used for? The answer is API expands to Application Programming Interface, which is an interface to connect, access and transfer data among different computing systems. It is needed so that different systems can interact and share data among them. For example, data is being shared among social media applications like Google and Facebook. Question number 14. What is API manual testing? The answer is API manual testing is manual testing of API and not using automation testing for API tests. Test cases are developed and executed manually instead of relying on automation testing tools. Question number 15. Why API testing is needed? The answer is: API testing is needed to validate and verify the developed API against customer requirements in various aspects like functionality testing, UI testing, security testing, performance testing and more. Unit and integration testing are also performed. Question number 16. What is REST API in testing? The answer is: REST API in testing is used to test REST API, which is widely used in web applications, especially web services being developed for new age companies like startups. Question number 17. What are the different types of API? The answer is: the different types of API are: first, SOAP, Simple Object Access Protocol. Second, XML RPC. Third, JSON RPC. Fourth, REST, Representational State Transfer. Question number 18. How does an API work? The answer is: API works by exposing methods and data which is accessible over various protocols or network like HTTP. Anyone who wants to access the data uses the accessible methods to access the required data, like weather data being provided by various government weather data providers. Question number 19. What is a JSON API? The answer is: JSON API is an interface for the exchange of data and functionality in JSON. JSON API expands to JavaScript Object Notation API. Question number 20. What is Agile methodology in testing? The answer is: Agile methodology in testing means testing as per Agile principles, which involves continuous testing as per continuous development or delivery of software during software development life cycle. Testing and development take place simultaneously. Question number 21. What is a test case in manual testing? The answer is: a test case in manual testing refers to a group of actions done to verify a function or feature of software under test. An example test case in manual testing can be checking output by software when invalid login details are given. An error screen comes up. The test case will need details like username or password and conditions for success and failure, and henceforth, result. Question number 22. Can Selenium be used for API testing? The answer is: yes, Selenium is used for API testing but supports web browser-based automation testing. Hence, Selenium will need an API testing tool and will provide automation in API testing. Question number 23. What is an API gateway? The answer is: API gateway acts as a gateway or single point contact for various API-based services. It optimizes requests for different APIs. It can route, optimize and provide a simple interface for data and functionality access instead of accessing multiple APIs like authentication service provided by Google to different websites for one-click login. Question number 24. What are web APIs applied for? The answer is: web APIs are very helpful in the implementation of RESTful web services utilizing the .NET framework. Web API assists in facilitating the development of HTTP services to stand out to clients, things like devices, browsers, or tablets. ASP.NET Web API can be practiced with MVC for any type of administration. Question number 25. What do you understand by browser APIs? The answer is: browser APIs are the APIs that evolve built-in with the browsers. They enable developers to implement complex operations without administering the sophisticated lower-level code. Question number 26. What is URI in REST API? The answer is: REST APIs use Uniform Resource Identifiers, URIs, to address resources. REST API designers should create URIs that convey REST API's resource model to the potential clients of the API. When resources are named well, an API is intuitive and easy to use. Question number 27. Can JMeter be used for API testing? The answer is: JMeter can be used for API testing, especially REST API. JMeter is an open-source tool and used for performance or load testing. Question number 28. Why API testing is required? The answer is: API testing enables the tester to secure requests that might not be allowed through the UI, which is essential for detecting potential security defects in an application. Because differences in software occur at such a speedy pace today, it's significant to have tests that fast feedback for developers and testers. Question number 29. What is the use of an SSL certificate? The answer is: an SSL certificate is a bit of code on your web server that provides security for online communications. When a web browser contacts your secured website, the SSL certificate enables an encrypted connection. It's kind of like sealing a letter in an envelope before sending it through the mail. Question number 30. What is the API example? The answer is: API example is data being shared among social media applications like Google and Facebook. Another example is the authentication service provided by Google to different websites for one-click login. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.